Where's my lashes now? Hey guys, welcome to That's So Life podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the follows. Thank you for bringing us up to 10,000 on the Facebook page. That's really awesome. I appreciate that. If you are tuning in, let us know where you are tuning in from, which areas you are. Today, once again, like I'm not intimidated by my guests.
Can't be.
Yeah, we've got an amazing, innovative entrepreneur, Francois van Louw. His wife is
Van Louw.
Oh, Van Louw. Apologies,
No
Van
problem.
Louw. His wife has also joined us, Tarryn. So I found out about you guys on Sunday. To be honest,
Yes.
this was supposed to be designated for somebody else, and I took over and immediately started doing the research. And people are more familiar with UA. So when I speak about
100%,
yes,
100%.
yes, because when I speak about you or referencing you, and then everybody will be like, "Oh, it's Tarryn's husband." Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I've been behind the scenes most of the time. I think this past month or two has been the first time where I actually do interviews and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I prefer to make the product than to be the product. so it is what it is.
Okay. So I would like to go about it as individual personalities. Also, the family aspect and how you guys go about it in this industry. And then we can touch on the 3 different entities
Yes.
that you can delve into. I am not going to ask as many questions.
No, it's all good. We can just have a
Yes.
conversation.
Yes,
Sure.
I would like for you to explain this, and especially in layman terms for
Yeah, no,
people
I
like
will.
me.
Do
But
my
I'd
best.
like that focus, or I'm very interested in topic.
Yes.
But we'll get to that.
No, 100%.
So if we may, if you can give a little bit of background on yourself.
Okay, so my name is Francois van Louw. I'm born here in Cape Town. Lived in Holland for 2 years as a kid. Moved back to Cape Town. Then we moved to Somerset West. I went to primary school. I was at 5 different primary schools actually. I went to Heideveld Primary, Montevideo Primary, Dani Ackerman, the Gilde Reiter, and then Methodist Primary. So it's 5 in total. So I had quite a. We were actually having this conversation about uprooting our child Knox, because we are considering the move to Johannesburg. Okay. And I was like, what if he switches schools? I'm like, I'm all right. I've switched 5 schools in primary school, so you'll be okay. But yeah, and then I went to high school at Parel Valley High School in Somerset West.
Okay.
And then started my entrepreneurship journey literally in matric in school, and never stopped. It's all I know.
Wow. Has that always been the mindset? Because the fact that you started matric, where not everybody would be that goal-orientated.
Yeah, so I applied to study at university, and I did go study at university at Stellenbosch University. I started a degree in politics, and on the first day of campus is actually where I met my wife, TK, or Tarryn as I know her. And yeah, so we studied together at Stellenbosch University. But within the first couple of weeks, I realized this is like worse than school for me. I specifically selected some subjects. If in hindsight, I should have done a BCom in marketing. I think I would have done much better in that because that is more aligned to what I do. But I think I was just too unsure. And that is one of the big reasons why Topic exists today, is to get more clarification around what it means to go into tertiary education and how to be better prepared while you're in school and all those type of things. So yeah, but the entrepreneurship journey, I think you're born with it. If I must be honest, it's something, if it's like, I feel like I'm more of a creator of products and solutions than I am to call myself entrepreneur. I like to create great products that people intend on using. And the more people that use it, then the bigger entrepreneur you are.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Tarryn, if you'd like to give me a bit of background on you, please.
Oh gosh, yeah, I think just me as a person.
Yes,
I feel
you.
like this is about Faf. So yeah, I'm also Cape Town born and bred, and I went to school. So I'm a southern suburbs girly.
Okay.
That migrated over to the Helderberg Basin when I did my tertiary education. So yeah, I went to school in Kenwyn at Sundance Primary. Went to high school at Sanssouci, and then did the great leap during a period that was quite interesting because there was a push towards having more kids of color at Stellenbosch University. There was a massive drive for that. And amazingly, his mommy was one of the biggest role players in that transformation process at Stellenbosch University.
Wow.
She was part of the drive to get Afrikaans kids in spaces from all colors and all ethnicities. And even though I'm not Afrikaans, it was dope to actually go and experience that culture. And then, of course, went to Stellenbosch, and that's where I met Faf, and I got exposed to a whole different world. I think that's where my interest in media just expanded. And it was at Varsity that we started our first our own little company together.
Yeah, no, we did so many things like that. I think the very first one was a photography business that I actually started with a friend in high school.
Sorry to interject, it was me and Mo. And
thereafter, true story. Yeah, I think I've had 100 businesses.
Yeah, we had a little clothing brand together.
Okay.
And thereafter, we started the photography business. So we did I don't know if you remember thunder.com.
Yes.
But we did something like that, but in the Stellenbosch club culture.
Okay.
And then we had parties around it and just youth culture.
Yeah, later we got actual bookings like Max Power magazine and all sorts of those magazines and stuff would rent us to be the photographers on set. But to be honest with you, we weren't actually 100% sure what it is we were doing, from a business perspective.
Yeah.
I actually spend a lot of time on doing that with people I work with today, is to just guide them on those small processes that you have to have in place to be an actual business. At that time, it was more just I'm having fun creating cool stuff. But when they pay me, they pay it to Francois' bank account. So, I mean, that is not definitely how you operate it. And then I quickly realized that, because from that we went into the eventing space, and then we did quite a few events at Stellenbosch. I don't know if you guys will probably remember my brother's club there, Lush, back in the day in Stellenbosch. So that was my brother and a few of his friends, they set that club up. I was actually working as a barman in there. And while working as barman, I would get the opportunity to obviously host our own events. And T was very involved in creating events in the nightclub space. But the second, when I started branching out and wanting to get sponsors for the business I'm doing, I quickly realized that these brands wouldn't work with you or touch you unless you are an actual business or an entity that's set up with your VAT numbers and your BE certificates and all the paperwork that you need to have in place. So I would say, from a business perspective, the first company I registered was probably in 2005. Yeah, 2005.
CL.
Yeah, CL magazine, which was a magazine which we started post all the events and all of that. Because I realized you stuck to one venue, and every single venue in the university or at the university or in Stellenbosch needs to market themselves. So instead of me marketing one event and hoping that turns out to be successful, I could be a vehicle for everyone to market on. And because my passion for media and photography, so it's like the let's call it failures of the past all led up to one thing. So now we had photography, we had a journalist who can write. We understood social media before it was social media. I think when we were on second year when Facebook came out in South Africa. Yeah, so I mean, this is way back. And I think we were, before there were even pages and stuff on Facebook, we were marketing events. So we would create a profile of the event itself and then...
landing pages.
Landing pages.
Yeah, because we all had Blackberries, BBM.
Exactly.
And I think tying in with that was that while that was happening, I was also on my media journey I did a degree in politics and then went on to do my honors in journalism, and then went straight into radio. Then I was at Good Hope FM. It actually almost overlapped because I was a campus DJ first at MFM, and then they were looking for young, fresh talent from the campuses, and then I moved over to radio, and then I was at Good Hope FM for 10 years. But it almost all married in with each other. It was popular culture merging in with the background of media as well, which was Francois' forte. So it was almost like it was just working somehow, in whatever we cultivated today.
I think at that time, if you must think if you must just put yourself back in 2003 and those eras, right? Something like being on radio used to be very massive. Like podcasts and those things didn't exist at the time. If you think about social media, it didn't exist. There weren't people popular for being popular, right? So at that time, you had to kind of work within the bigger industry to be part of those organizations, to be a face. And I think she played like cards really well, like going from MFM, the radio station at Stellenbosch University, and then migrating to Good Hope FM after that. But I mean, even just that process was such a long process.
Yeah.
And during that time, even for myself, that is when I realized that I really love media. I don't want to study politics whatsoever. So I went to AFDA Film School. And that was a way better experience from a learning perspective for me, because it was stuff that I could actually put into action while I'm studying it. And so even there, me and a couple of friends, and that's actually a big reason for why I stopped studying there, was, I don't know if you guys remember Exact Mobile. Back in the day, they used to sell content, like you can pay 5 Rand per SMS or whatever, and then they'll send you content, right? So in first year, the first process that they take you through is to make like a little short film, right? And I think it's like 2 or 3 minutes, like just to really show you the process of making an actual film. And because the fees at the university or the college was really high, and like I had a friend who was there with me from Zimbabwe, and he was like, "Yo, he can't afford this fees anymore. Like, it's intense." So I was like, "Okay, how do we actually generate some income for ourselves while we are here?" Because that's just how my mind works. Is like I always think about like the entrepreneurial make money side of it. And then I was like, "Can't we? Because we're paying for the degree. Technically, that content should belong to us because we're paying for it, right?" That's how I saw it, and I was very wrong when I actually got to the legal aspect of it all. But then I was like, okay, let's bundle all of the content that all of us have made in campus, and then we can sell that to Exact Mobile as content. And then every time there's a download of someone's specific video, then they will get the money for that, and that can then go towards them actually paying their school fees. And the school just wasn't, the campus just wasn't into the idea whatsoever. And then, I just got very frustrated around that. And I was like, because I was studying producing, right? I don't physically hold the camera or anything like that. I put the idea behind the actual program or the platform or the series or whatever it is we're going to be making. And then I hire the right people. Even at campus, we would bring the right guys, so the right director, the right writer, the right set designers, all of that. So I was like, I can actually do this in my own time. And then I just started doing that rather. Then we worked closely with a couple of musicians.
Yeah.
Like we did, this is so long ago. One of they will even remember, like Amina Ron and HC and all those guys. We did photo shoots for them back in the day. We even tried our hands at music videos and all sorts of stuff. But
we even we're part of AKA's video with the Yes.
That's late. That comes later in life. So again, it's like this. If I look back at it, then you could very easily think like it's a lot of failures, because you start something and then it kind of breaks halfway through, just simply because you're not getting the financial end result that you want. But at the time, I was actually technically in business school, if I must call it that. So and the network that I was able to build over that period, and understanding how certain industries work and what you need to do to get certain things right. I think that process all led up to, even to today, I still learn on a daily basis about what's happening. But so I think the biggest business I was involved with prior to everything I'm busy with now was, so my family owned a big dairy factory in Malmesbury, and I was involved obviously from a brand creation perspective. So I worked there, but I was always able to do other stuff at the same time. So the first brand they showed me, when they were so proud about the brand they made, I looked at it and I was like, this thing will never, it will never sell, right? And my mom was just like, hoe bedoel je nou, wat gaat die werken? I was like, this looks like milk that is for a foreign market. It's not for our market. We need to understand our own audience who's going to buy it. And then I went through a process of actually teaching them of how branding and marketing works, right? So even if it's something as mundane as a liter of milk, which everyone needs, at the end of the day, people still select a specific brand off shelf. But in something, a commodity like milk, it's usually like price driven. But if it comes to the point where your price is the same as the other one on the shelf, you need to do something to stand out. And then I don't know if you guys remember the All Seasons brand, which was in Pick n Pay. I assisted with that brand development. So we did cheese and long life milk and Pulchits at a later stage.
Yeah.
And then we acquired my family business acquired a cool drink factory that went under. And the guy actually just sold this machinery and everything, and he was like, his business can't survive. would we be interested in acquiring that business? And that used to be called Winners School Drink. I don't know if you guys remember that. It's like in all the fish and chips bunkers and all that, all of that.
The winners brand.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
so they had their own soda.
Okay.
Winners
Like
soda.
a Winners,
Yeah.
Winners soda, yeah. And so I was like, look, if, I would love to be the lead of this project, right? And I would stop everything else I'm busy with and just focus all of my energy into making this product work. I even negotiated with my own family to be a shareholder in the business. So I was like, look, if I'm gonna do this, you're gonna be taking my sweat equity. So I want to be a shareholder in this company, right? So I got that right, and me and my brother together. So he's more of a salesman, I'm more of a marketing strategist. And then we went through the process of developing the actual brand. So I don't know if you guys remember Yes School Drink, like we did a lot of marketing with especially the younger market.
Also eventing as well.
A lot of events and stuff, yeah. So, but to get into the cool drink business, like we all know the incumbents are there, like Coca-Cola,
Yes.
Pepsi, Jive.
Yeah.
Like how do you even get into retail if those guys are already on
It's
shelf?
like literally like a mafia. Like
So-
I'm gonna say it.
Exactly. So yeah, so that was like the biggest, I think, undertaking from a business perspective that I've ever done. Even in today's terms, I think it's still the biggest operation that I've gone into and like processed out. But the successes we've seen in that was that I quickly realized, like since day one, before we even launched a single product, I was like, there's no way that we can launch just a cool drink out there, because then you're going to be selling at like $6.99 and you're never going to get shelf space anyway. Like you're not going to be taken serious in the industry. You are literally just going to be that one that that's on shelf for like in like your small independent stores. You're never going to get into top end retail. So we created the product, and then I was like, we have to go beyond like what makes cool drink brands successful globally. If you look at what Pepsi did on a global space, or even Coca-Cola, there's always something around the brand, so that the name isn't as important as what the feeling and experience of the lifestyle of the brand is. And in the South African sense, the original idea was to take of the 7 flavors we had. Was it 7?
Yeah.
We had 7 flavors, and then I would have aligned a local artist with every flavor, and then in the cap I would have made like a download code inside the cap that you can now download these songs. So I created this whole process of how the platform would work. And I mean, that time we were all using BlackBerry, and at that time like Spotify and those things existed, but not really in the South African space. So we would literally just grab like a music of like MP3 Skull and all of that. So like the music industry was dying in the South African sense. And I like my biggest statement to myself is, and someone told it to me, and I really can't remember, and I really want to remember who told me, is that to be in business, you have to be in business. And the fact that I was in business, just by chance, random chance, I met the wife of the chairman of Universal Music at the time. And so I told her what my idea was, and she was like, you have to meet my husband, like you have to go meet him. So I flew out to Johannesburg to go meet with this guy, telling him my little 7 cool drink idea. And while I'm sitting at the hotel the night before, going to go meet with him the next morning, I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is Universal Music. It's like the biggest music company in the world. I'm not going to go in there with some 7-song idea. That's a terrible idea to go in with. And then I changed in one night. I literally changed the whole strategy of the business, where it was the same solution.
I remember that night.
You remember that night?
Yeah, we were sitting in the lounge because we were living in Strand, and I remember us sitting and conceptualizing, and we had Lady Gaga and we had
all
Nicki
those
Minaj
pictures, exactly.
and Pavarotti. Like it was all these options.
Because then it wasn't that I can only work with the local artist. I can now work with the Universal stable, right? So it would mean that it's everybody. So if I'm pitching something to them, I need to pitch if I'm going to pitch them 7 local artists who's probably not even signed to them, they're going to be like, it's not really our flavor.
Yeah.
So I was just like, just go in as big as possible, like do the biggest thing ever, right? And then I created this mock-up and I designed it myself. Actually, that's pretty insane. So I made mock-ups of what a mobile app could look like on BlackBerry, where you can then download all of the songs that's available in the Universal Music catalog. So now I'm talking everybody, right? So it's like Justin Bieber, Lady Gaga, the works.
Dolly Parton, everybody, like everybody. It's like over 1 million songs.
No, it was the bank is like millions of songs. And without knowing it, I actually created something that was an answer to their problem, right? So when I went to go pitch the next day at Universal, they accepted the deal like immediately. I was like, this is unbelievable. Like nothing like this has ever happened to me. Yeah. We all know, like when you go meet with a corporate, then it's basically like an introduction, and you kind of know in the back of your mind they were all smiling, wavy with you when you got in the room. And the second you leave, they're like, okay, now on to the next. You know, it's like, but with this one, it was like immediate. They were like, okay, if you're gonna build money into every bottle that you sell, we can then build a wallet up, and then every time people download music, then they can pick from the whole thing. And then we were working with a development company in France to build the Yes Music application.
It was basically like an iTunes.
It was iTunes.
In 2009
exactly.
or 2008.
Yeah, it was way crazy. Back. Like, I believe, okay, I'll tell you the whole story about it. And then in the brand, the cool drink was like the element that drives traffic to everything else that the brand does. So it had a music mobile application with it, and then obviously we could align it with every single artist in the world, or a big name artist. We created a magazine with it, like a full-blown magazine, and then Universal will give us access to their artists globally. Like Nelly Furtado was on our cover, and we could interview her and stuff like that. So just from a media space, the Yes brand just like blew up overnight type thing. But the business lesson that I've learned in that whole process was that in Afrikaans they say moenie al jou eiers in een mandjie sit hier, right? So the factory itself was the biggest pain in that whole business process, right? So we had this huge factory. I still, every time I drive to my parents' house in Gordons Bay, then I'm forced to drive past this factory. It's called A1 Glass or something. A1 Glass or something like that.
Like haunts him.
It haunts me. Yeah. So then I drive past it. I'm like, we should never have built this factory, because the initial product we made, we were just letting a contract packer pack it. But I think the rest of our shareholders and the board of the company didn't understand that the brand is more valuable than the actual product we're selling. Yeah. So they were investing a lot of money into building this intense factory, and and the factory was always breaking, and there was something going wrong. And I mean, like that should never have been the core business focus, if you ask me in hindsight. But hindsight is always 2020. I think if we could have focused on the music elements and the media elements that we built with that brand, I think it would have still been a huge brand today. Just simply because the redemption was so good. So every time people bought a cool drink, like 10% of the people that bought the cool drink, and I'm talking about like hundreds of thousands of units of cool drink, right, would download a song. So, and Universal were loving what we were doing, because we were actually building this big kitty with them. Yes. Of money that's available. So now it's like, okay, we can do concerts, we can do, so we actually...
And it's legitimate monitored downloads. Yeah. It's not piracy.
Yes.
They're getting paid every time a song is downloaded, right? But yeah, and then because of all of that strat that we wrote, I got the brand into Pick and Pay, which was, I mean, I think we're the only other like soft drink brand to get into top end retail at that time without even being out in the market for more than 6 months. And then we had OK, we had Spa, it was everywhere. Like we sold it everywhere. But like I say, the straw that broke the camel's back was the actual factory itself. If we stuck to outsourcing our manufacturing, I think we would have been much better off, because you could control it better. You don't have that major staff element that comes with it. You don't have to order so many bottles in advance and have to buy kilos and kilos of sugar and so. But yeah, like I say, hindsight is 2020. We should have had every element of that business in a business of its own. So when the factory itself was liquidated, everything else that was in that brand fell in with the pot with it. So I couldn't go on with the magazine or go on with the music side or anything else. So
I'm sitting here and wondering, how the hell did I not know this? Because I pride myself of being in knowing things in this
space.
Industry, in the space, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, TK heeft me gesê, ne? She didn't show the world.
No,
you know
exactly.
what I'm saying? But my question is, no?
Yes.
Your story is amazing. My question is, while you're going through it, do you tell yourself, nah, I'm building character? Or do you take that fall and you think, you know what I'm saying?
No, I
like again, in hindsight, you can say, Kiki, nah, cool, it was a learning curve, whatever. But once, because because a lot of people are afraid to fail, man.
To fail, no, exactly.
And they sadness and what. But
no, it's terribly sad. I was so depressed. Like for what was it, about 18 months after Yes being liquidated, I didn't do anything. Like I literally worked like with other people. Like I went to go work in companies and stuff. So from an entrepreneurship perspective, I would just be like an agent that helps other people execute certain stuff. But I was deeply unhappy and sad about what happened. You know, it's like you built this baby up and you've put so much energy in, and I see the vision for it, but you sometimes the people around you don't possibly understand what it is that you want to execute for it. And then you get caught in the trap of like, you're not the sole owner, you're not the sole decision maker.
That is the takeaway from it,
Yeah.
is that it's an expensive, painful lesson,
Yeah.
but nothing will prepare you for whatever new journey you're on, like experience. Like the
true.
way that you are just so diligent and you're so like literally, like it's the level of knowledge that and understanding of how to execute now. It's like he's a machine now, you know what
Look,
I mean?
what I learned that day when all of that happened, or that period when all of it went down, was like never again would I put myself in a business position where I'm not the final decision maker about what happens. Because yes, I wouldn't have been able to execute something as big on my own, but I think just knowing that I can sleep better at night, knowing that the decisions that are made is my own decision,
Yeah.
so I fall on my own sword basically. That was for me is like, this business is dying, but it's not my fault. It's not what I would have decided for the direction of the business to go to. And I made it sensitive because it's my own family, right? But at the end of the day, I think we've obviously all come over it and got over it, and we're all doing our own thing now, which is, I think, possibly the most positive thing as an outcome is that our family unit is stronger after the fact. But yeah, when I started Just Brands Africa, the whole thing there was, I'm going to own and control this thing for as long as possible. And it's 10 years later today. December is 10 years.
It's one of those things like, how is this happening for me and not to me?
Yeah.
Because it was, as I say, it was one of the cruelest things. And the worst part was we would like go to shops and then, for example, say a fisheries or little cafe on the corner or whatever, and they would still have products, you know, in the shop.
Yeah.
But the business is closed already, but there's still product out there.
No, I think the worst part for me was that I was in such the business was in such a desperate financial situation after the fact that we sold off the trademarks, right? So it was the only asset we still had, because the trademarks were in a separate special purpose vehicle, like a separate company where you put your IP in. And like I still thought I could maybe go on with the magazine, go on with the music application and all that stuff, because that was sitting as part of IP. But there was just money needed across the board, and the liquidators were just like, look here, everything has to go. And someone bought that trademark that we spent millions on building.
Sure.
Continued making cool drink.
Yo.
And you just see a Gatsby and a Yes cool drink in the shops. And you're like,
You know what I'm interested in is the fact that you realized at a young age that content is the gold. Even today, people don't realize the content. When I make a deal with people, I said, no, the content is both of us. We share the content.
Yes.
But I'm like, no, I need the 50% because I don't want to rob you. So I'll take more, but I won't. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But a lot of people don't see that, and the same with you. They thought that the goal would be in the product, and not selling it to the
broader.
So where did that come from? Where you could see past because a normal person would see the gold here, but you see the legacy money.
Yes,
really.
That's why I was. I think I would have done really good at a BCom marketing, as an example, and I even see it in my own son today. But since I can remember, like, you can show me any brand, literally almost any brand in the world, and I will know what the name of it is. It's just like something that is like inherent with me. Like, it sticks with me. If I don't remember the name specifically of that brand, I can tell you exactly which colorway and stuff they use around it. So from building a brand perspective, I think it's something. I just understood it from a young age. I think I don't know if it is because of my upbringing and like maybe living in Holland for those 2 years as a young boy, just seeing how things are done differently. But owning brands, like all of our brands are trademarked. Like those processes, I understand very well. So I think building the brand is more crucial than the actual product. Because if I must fast forward a bit now, and I don't want to get there yet, but if I take like Steak Bake as a brand, right? So we've been making online shows for that brand forever, but because we've trademarked brand, we've obviously secured everything around the brand. Now it's an actual sauce that we're selling to people, And when we can now license the brand to a TV channel and those type of things. So brand is the legacy. I want 100%. The actual trademark that you have, that's your intellectual property of the brand.
What do you guys think in terms of the society that we're in today, with everything, with the industries that is available today? But if you're comparing this to the actual subjects that kids have on school,
it's a disaster.
Yeah,
it's a disaster.
wild.
It's a disaster. Like I think we have one of the fastest growing, or probably the fastest growing online learning platform in the country at the moment. But the content on there, we are hamstrung basically by what the government offers as education, right? So we have to follow what the Department of Basic Education, that's the subjects that you do in class. I know that we all around this table know that nothing you learned in class is really being used here in executing this.
I'm learning about the locus, but I don't know how the options to choose in buying a house or taxes or anything like that.
100%. And but even in your job, like, because that's like very personal. But in you having to be able to do something so that you can earn money to buy the house, it's crazy. Like even tertiary level education, you studying stuff and the world is moving so fast around you, is that by the time you come out of that university 3-year degree, that's why there's so many people that still sit stuck after the fact. Like I take coding, for example. If you go start a 3-year degree in JavaScript today, JavaScript itself has moved on so fast that by the time you come out, you know the basics in that, but you actually gonna start from over. You actually gonna go learn on the job. So I'm we actually take in interns on our side, and it's sad to say I'm not gonna say the university's name, but like we work with a big campus, they're national, and they do coding courses at that university, and when we bring them on, it's literally like we have to start from scratch training them, right? So it's I don't understand. Like I truly believe if South Africa corporate just changes the way, because I understand if it's like a lawyer or an accountant or someone like that, they need to obviously go through that process. Or my doctor, like I don't want a doctor who just learned on the job, you know what I mean? but if it's something that has to do with like product development or levels of like service products and those type of things, or even software as a service, you can't be taught how to do it. Like you just have to kind of do it. You can just go watch YouTube tutorials instead of spending 50 grand a year at the university, and you'll be better off than the guy who did that 150,000 rand course over the 3 years. If the guy who's gonna sit there and watching YouTube tutorials on how to build websites, he's definitely better at building websites than the guy who has a website degree.
So go binge.
Yes.
Tell me, because we had Steakbeck on here. What's his name again?
Nick.
Yeah, we had him on, but we couldn't. Well, from what
we go binge. What is that?
Waar begin het? How? Tell me the whole history, because
so years ends. I'm now sitting with my hand in my ear. What am I going to do with my life?
And, so dramatic. You would just say that it was not that dark, okay? It was a horrible experience.
It was a horrible time for me, personally.
Yeah, I don't think... The wheels didn't stop moving because we had to keep on keeping on. That's always how it's been.
If I must be brutally honest, it was like it's like the worst thing, right? So now I'm living a very good lifestyle. So we have a beachfront apartment. We have all the cars that you can dream about when you're a young person. You know, GTIs, Sirocco's, all the fancy stuff that you want. Fancy watches, clothes, eating out at fancy restaurants all the time.
And we're like 24, eh?
Living your best life, as the kids would say
24,
today.
23 years old.
So
it was a good time.
So that all comes to an abrupt end, and you lose the apartment. Your cars are taken away. You have to sell them because you need money. It's like so. It was just like for me, it was a dark patch. I think she's just a way more positive person, but for me, it was just like, this is terrible, and I need to.
You need that balance as well.
Women are survivalists. You just go like, on my chin, right? Let's move along. You know,
we don't have a choice.
You just clap on. It's just you know.
So and like I say, with my history, the same way that I looked at events back in the day and realized that I must start a magazine, and then get other events involved and let them rather pay me to do it, was the same thing. So instead of me building my own brand again, I'm gonna go help people with their brands, and that's how Just Brands Africa started. It was actually called Quick Turn Marketing when we launched it first. And then that business was me going out to literally like the small pizza shop in Somerset West and selling them website and social
Like
media
a corporate
marketing.
identity. Yeah.
And all those type of things. So, but obviously with the goal of growing it and expanding it to do much greater campaigns. But I mean, it was such a brand new company that we still didn't even have a VAT number or anything.
Yeah, we didn't get that. But you know what's so fascinating is that, especially with franchise, our finger was always on the pulse with what was needed at the time.
Yes.
So at that time, corporate identities was a thing. So you needed a letterhead and a logo and a website and email access and a website and all these things. And so our finger was on the pulse then. And then it became irrelevant to have that. All you needed is a LinkedIn profile or, you know. So that's how things have morphed, and we've constantly adapted and morphed. And I think the big win was being ahead of our time. And when I say ahead of our time, I mean being before the pandemic, because the pandemic changed a lot for the digital world.
That's way late.
Yeah,
that's way later in the journey.
But what I'm saying is that it's, when your fingers on the pulse and you're ahead of the curve, it preps you for what's going to happen essentially. And that's where he's been a little bit of a Nostradamus.
There's a lot of people in the pandemic, it's then that they needed to adapt.
A lot
when
of people
you already had this knowledge and insight.
A lot of people became very popular over the pandemic. It evened out the field. It created a lot of platforms and spaces for people to do really dope stuff.
But I mean, that is like way deeper down the journey, the pandemic, right? So Just Brands Africa starts, and then slowly but surely we start getting bigger customers on. And I think a major, and I want to give my wife props for this, was, and a friend of mine who lives in London now, because I won't forget the day he comes into my office, he's like, you can't build a company in Somerset West, bro. You need to go to town. Like you need to get out of here. And then obviously T's career was a lot more based in Cape Town. And then I think moving to this side of the world changed a lot about what we were doing. And then I was involved in importing cell phones. I was involved with I was going to do a major merger with my company because at that time I had the license for Angry Birds in South Africa.
Wow.
Remember when the movie came out?
Yes.
And you just saw like Angry Birds bedding and sweets and cool drink cups and everything. Products. That was him.
Okay.
So the
undercover brother.
Yes.
Always.
Totally undercover.
Always.
So the licensing of that was obviously a major a part of the business. And then Just Brands Africa was a one-man band. I was literally working alone in the company at that stage, and I was outsourcing to everybody. But I realized that for me to really build something that's going to have a serious impact on what I'm trying to achieve is that I'm going to have to migrate to that level where I'm going to be having staff and all of that stuff. There was a guy that I met at Media 24 a couple of years prior to that, and he was the CEO of magazines and publishing and all that stuff at the time, or the manager of that. And then he left Media 24 and started a digital agency doing what my business does. And then I figured he already started, like day one on his business, they have like 40 staff in the company and it's like this major operation. So I was like, look, maybe I must just go into a partnership deal with them. They have the factory, but I can bring the business.
Yes.
I can bring business to the factory. And we were going to do a 50-50 deal. But the deal was that we will work together for a couple of months, see if it works out, and then we will then obviously cement the deal on paper. So within the first couple of months, I just didn't like the culture inside the business. Like there were quite a few things, but I'm a drug deer, right? So I tried to see it through and try to actually make it happen. But I think by the 6 months, when every request I send in for, can I see the financials of the business to see what I'm getting myself into, and it never comes to light, I decided to go against it. And then in that same time, I was busy with a big tender with BP. So if you go into any Wild Bean cafe in South Africa, you know those screens that are in there, those digital menu boards?
Yes.
So my company installs them and we run all the menus for them on a cloud service. So we currently do over 100 sites nationwide where we install the monitors and we run their menu boards for them. And their menus change on a daily basis. So I was busy applying for that tender, and I think the big man above was looking out for me, and he was like, split your business, and then I split the company away from what they were doing, and then I went totally solo. And then we hired our first office in town, which was in Woodstock Exchange.
Yeah, the Woodstock Exchange.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we still have an office there, but not the same one that we had. And it was like literally me and T and Lawrence, and like four people in.
If I could give you timing perspective, it was in 2018, and no, I'm talking nonsense. Yeah, it was 2018.
I can't remember the exact year.
I think my son was born because
We were working together that time, no?
Yes, it was coming to the end of my Good Hope experience or journey, and because we used to play on the show, so we used to see each other every weekend, and it was coming slowly to the end, and I had a baby, and I was like, and
Make a plan.
and unfortunately, like because of the nature of like certain industries, women with kids or women that are pregnant, it's not a cool brand, So the deals and the offerings that were available was not suitable for me, and I wasn't going to settle for anything because I was also someone that was very aware of my presence and my profile.
Yeah.
So and so then I remember that Francois and I then moved, and when I finished up at Good Hope, I'm like, what the hell am I going to do now? Because you literally. This is your beginning and end. You think this is your, and it's only when you leave certain spaces that you realize how dope you actually are. And him and I were sitting down, and he was like, just do your own thing. And I was like, how do you do that?
It's like we closing in on the 2020s, like digital marketing and stuff and that's what I do, right? So when we moved into that office, so obviously the core business there was to obviously work through the tender for BP and making sure that works. But
we had the equipment as well, though.
Yeah, no, but I obviously have a deep passion for media. So the first people that we hired in were actual two filmmakers. And that's actually a great story to tell because they're still with us. And one of them actually is now my 50-50 partner. Louis is my partner in Go Binge itself.
That's one of my questions for you, eh? So I see, I would like that expansion in terms of movies from what I see on your websites and what you guys are doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you about movies in a bit as well. So I was working with many brands, right? And we were doing influencer campaigns. So what it would mean is that, say, for example, Kaapse Brew, there's energy drink. They want to do an influencer campaign.
Yeah.
They will approach us. We will say, okay, these are the 10 influencers. We're going to make a fancy pack of your cool drink with your product inside, and they will make an unboxing video for you on their social media platforms. I'm talking about that era of social media marketing.
The campaigning era.
Right. So then we would send it out, and like 5 of them would do an excellent job. 3 would do a terrible job. And then 2, we would just kind of like, we would not even like put it out. You know what I mean? So now brand has paid for 10 people to market their product. And now our communication has to go back to the influencers that we brought on. And I just got frustrated with that whole process. And then I realized that, and I looked at obviously what's happening in the States and that. And I was like, we have to own the stage. If we own the stage and we bring the content creators to our stage, then we can control the environment and the content that is being put out, right? So I studied this one company in the States, and you have to do that. Like there's a saying, great artists steal, right? So you have to go be influenced by what someone else is doing or other companies doing. So
Inspired.
Barstool?
Inspired.
Was it Barstool?
No, it was Complex. So I don't know if you know Complex.
Joe Budden?
Joe,
He has
one of the shows on there.
What was it? Everyday Struggle.
Yeah, so Hot Ones as a show is on there. It's like part of Complex, Hot Ones, and all those shows, right? And so the first show we were gonna make, and I probably can't say this because it was public at the time.
I mean, I spoke. We put it up there. Yeah.
So the
first pod. So listen, this is before podcasts became podcasts. Eh?
Yeah.
We were like, these talents that are coming from radio are not doing radio anymore.
No, but it wasn't exactly like that.
I kind of feel
so
it was.
it was that we were gonna create these products and then marry brands onto the brands that we own. Right?
Okay.
Similar to what you guys are doing. Yeah, you're building brands and then you are gonna get like say one of these energy drinks for someone to sponsor a certain show, like your show, like get that sponsored, right? So, and then you can control the narrative within the space, and brand wouldn't fall on their backs because someone's speaking some odd stuff about brand or whatever. And then, as it so happens, at this time while we're planning this whole process, Because we had like 10 different shows that we wanted to produce.
You had your own shows as well.
Yeah.
I would tell you,
remember
but
watching your
this
show.
is the story of how this happens.
Oh,
right?
sorry.
So Nigel Pierce obviously has this major fallout with Good Hope FM.
Oh, the infamous.
The infamous, yeah.
You
so,
know that era, eh? You were there still.
Yep.
And
Radio Police.
and for me, I was like, this is an opportunity, like for him and for us, like come over to the world of digital. Like if anyone can actually drive it, you can do it. So I don't know if you guys remember that video where he was actually speaking to himself.
Yes.
Yeah, so
that was his teaser. We were going to drop his podcast.
So if you look at that set, right, and you look at the MVP Club set, it's the same set.
I didn't make that connection.
Yeah, we moved things around a bit, but I was the producer on that show.
But
what
I-
we're doing.
Why would it do? I didn't.
So
So
I had
I'll tell
people
you.
lined up everything.
Yeah. So legacy media, right, and a lot of players in legacy media, and it's even a struggle for us till today. Still, is that guys who come from the era of like radio and TV and that, I don't think they have enough respect for what social
Digital.
media content creators are doing. Right.
100%.
So I'm not going to name names here now, but the first person we brought on to be interviewed was someone who at that time had like 150,000 followers on Instagram and all of that. And I don't think he was like, this is the type of people he wants to interview.
To be honest, and I say this with love because I am friends with him, with Nigel, but I think that it was almost an insult to him at the time because his mind was that he interviews a certain caliber of people,
Yes.
not realizing the value of this 150k following person and
Yes.
what
To send a foundation, and
Exactly.
then you can go
and,
on.
and
No,
catapult
it-
yourself in the digital space.
100%.
But I think it's generally because of his understanding of digital at the time.
So-
And,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I must
see.
tell you how crazy this is. So on the day when this interview is supposed to happen, the guest is already on the way to our office and he kind of pulls out of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck this. T, you go you go interview. And like he's the all the investment that went into making his production went straight to T, and we started the MVP Club with that.
And so we had everyone lined up already. I was prepared at that stage to take the back seat in because I felt as if I did 10 years of radio. Before that, I did 5 years at MFM. I've done television. I've done
Yes.
CNN. I've done all the cool stuff. I was ready to pass the baton and do more behind the scenes stuff and push the podcast. Because you must remember Gareth Cliff at the time
Yes,
had
yes.
started Cliff Central.
Cliff
So it was a
Central,
very,
yes.
like, what is this thing? He didn't do video though.
Yeah, it was very
It
like they were all audio driven.
sound
Yes,
audio.
yes.
So we wanted to do like, Joe Budden it up. We wanted to show faces because it was influencers.
Yeah.
So it was dope to have actual human beings and sing. But what was even more cool was that influencers at the time, and still today often, but there's a bit more vulnerability. Influence then curated the crap out of their images. So you never knew who these people actually are. You only saw them in their finest, most polished
Yes.
form. They were these aspirational people that, why are you always getting freebies? Why are you going on these
Yes.
trips? Da, 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 da. So it was really interesting to see, like, how did you become an influencer? How? Because nobody knows the formula for influencing. No one knows the formula for content creation. So it was dope to see these people as human as
I
possible.
remember seeing your interview with Nadia Jaffe.
Yes.
I don't think anyone's seen that vulnerable. It was.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan, but it was like, okay, now I see a different
He's
side
a human
of it.
being
You know
there,
what I'm
yeah.
saying? It
And
was-
you understand her hustle and you understand, why it is what it is.
Job completed. You did your job.
Yeah, so that was what we wanted Nigel to do because he's such a good prober. He knows how to scratch open, but I don't think he was able to properly, like,
migrate to digital.
It was too fresh for
Look,
him
the
to
thing is,
understand.
like, I think what wasn't taken into account, maybe from his perspective, right, is that his own following at the time was very like little. Like he didn't have a big following online. And if we were into interview, say, the head coach of the rugby, as an example, his following wouldn't be that major as well. We don't have a broadcast platform
Yeah,
to.
I'm a bit confused because remember that time when he went on his rants, right?
Yeah.
He would mention Joe Rogan and say and mention why podcasting is becoming so big and people don't want to get the cookie cutter anymore. And he would mention
That
being out
was exactly the thing.
But it wasn't.
And who else would give you a back end, man? Where you don't have to be the back end like Group gave him the back end.
Exactly.
But I think it's the
No,
moolah.
look.
No, that is possibly.
If it comes down to the moolah, we sold her show within a month of having it done.
Of completion.
Right? So we sold
an
it.
international
We
brand.
sold it to Sky Vodka for 2 seasons. We had
Yeah.
we had
And that-
we had
and that
events and everything
And we were
around it.
dealing directly with Italy. we were dealing with Campari in Italy. So that just showed the level of like how we expanded. You know what I mean?
So patience is a very important thing in the space as well.
Yeah, but the thing is,
Yeah.
what I've discovered with podcasting, because we've been doing it since 2018. Right?
Yes.
So, but it was very small type of buzz. But what I've discovered with this is you need to take your time with the conversation, man. And I think radio, no offense to TK, with radio you used to the link, man.
Yes,
You got
exactly.
Oh
your-
yeah,
you got your song.
different,
you're gonna
different
drop-
discipline. Completely.
Yeah, so you got your song to depend on, your tracks to depend on. With this, you need to build. You need
Yes.
to build, and it's not going to come overnight. Like NAZLI, she does the probing, but it's like take care. Like even Ryan Joseph that we have,
Yes.
he's brilliant with almost, I want to say, wear the subject down. Where the person is guarded at first,
Yes.
and then the person
Yeah.
becomes more vulnerable and give off the stuff. You know what I'm saying?
100%. But even just from I can imagine for you, it's like from a business perspective, you need time to build up that data around what your audience looks like. Who is your
Who
audience?
are you speaking to?
So before you can even approach brand to come on board, you need to be able to prove to them that this thing is going to work, right? So and that was the thinking why we were only going for, let's call it your higher end influencers to be interviewed, because it was supposed to be 12 episodes that we were supposed to do with Nigel, and then T did it, and then we changed it to the MVP Club, those 12 episodes.
And
But
I took it straight from my radio.
but at
This
least
was the MVP club with
remember,
TK. Yeah.
at least I could go to brand.
I'm surprised Good allowed you to. You know how they are with the.
But they did. But this is the thing what Francois was talking about patents.
No, exactly. I went to go
They
check.
own it.
I went to go check. I bought the domain name for it. I realized I didn't buy. Do you know I own the domain name for kinkyafro.co.za and kinkyafro.com. So
Wow.
if Nigel wants it, he can speak to me.
But that's why it's now Kiki Saints.
I don't
No,
know.
we don't
I don't know.
But that was with all the branding plans that we had for.
But look here, it isn't something. It isn't like, just to clarify.
There's no height.
It's not
No,
a
I see
malicious
Nigel
thing.
every
I'm
now
not
and then
doing
in the shops
business.
like
all
literally.
time.
If he must
Yeah.
ask me for it, I will probably hand it to him.
Yeah.
But I still believe he could be making a career, like a really great podcast. If he like,
Yes.
people would love to watch him. I don't think the direction he's going now is the good one for him.
You know, when
Be online.
that went down with the good OPA, I was like, "Fuck, we must open this for Nigel," because I have always had so much respect for his intelligence, for his grit, everything. Like,
He was fucking.
you know what I mean? He's fireman.
He's a legend, man.
So
He's a
this is
legend.
why
Fucking legend, though.
it was just a pity. And then I ran into him not too long ago at the shop, and because we see each other, we're in the same area. And I say to him, like we're having like a nice loose chat and everything. And I asked him, like, will you go back to radio? And he was just like, yes, I would. Like, if conditions and,
Yes.
offerings is right.
Okay.
But the thing is, like he doesn't belong on radio. He belongs in
he's
his
a
own
wild
space.
card, man.
He must dominate and control his own space.
Without Gerard telling him what to do.
Hey,
So I think the difficult part now, post everything, is that it's gonna be hard to convince brand to come on board because of the rants and stuff that happens online, right? So in terms of that, it becomes a harder sell for, like, if I could just rewind time and we could have managed that process out, I think he would have had the most successful podcast in Cape Town for sure.
Huge, because everyone loves him, eh?
So
Even nationally, he has fans.
but I mean, just like from a Cape Town home base situation, I think he would have been the most entrenched one by a landslide.
But the important thing there is never too late. You know, I've seen people come like phoenixes rise.
Yep.
You know,
So I really hope he calls me after he sees this. We can make this happen. I promise.
I'm taking clip. I'm gonna make the clip of this.
Yes,
So but I mean, we never stopped our mission on creating content, right? So we created a lot of content. So we worked with Shika, we worked with Nadia, we did that whole Not So Normal show with her and her whole family.
in our family, yeah.
Shika did the interview show which we shot in Cape Town and Joburg.
Burger King was the official sponsor of that.
Burger King
yes.
was on board for that. We do Carbos, Afrikaans, like a rap show.
And the show with Mr. Mayor as well.
King Price Insurance.
And then Erve as well as his show as
So
well.
Airway show right now. So Airway is he's the number one guy right now in terms of social media and that. And if you look, I always look at your YouTube following because that is the hardest place to crack. So if you like, if you have a big following on Instagram and all that, that's all good. Like, you can do that.
Yes.
But YouTube is the toughest cookie to. It's
I
like,
saw his interviewing OnlyFans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Girl. I remember we were.
Yes,
Yeah.
we discussed
I actually
it.
want to watch it. No, just 'cause
Now, please
Yeah.
have a
I'm a
look.
big
So,
fan.
He's
of all
brilliant, eh? He's really brilliant.
so
Yeah.
and the goal for us isn't to like just own these shows and all of that. Like it's great for me to see how they, as businesses themselves, like how they grow in the space as well. Like they get other opportunities through working with us. So I think I think what we're doing slowly but surely is starting to catch wind. The only show we haven't created, and I'm always honest about this, the only show that we didn't create internally is actually Steak Bake, the show.
Okay.
So someone else produced that show prior to us.
Okay.
So Nick was working with it. It was Nick's
was
idea,
Nick's
Nick's concept, and all of that. But he had the other videographer create the first season for him, the first 2 seasons for him. And because we were looking at the complex model, and I was always in the beginning like a bit fearful of creating exact like replicas of stuff that Complex made already. But then I saw how successful the show was, and I was like, I need to meet this guy because it actually slots into our mission, because we would never make it happen like as Go Binge as a brand if we only had one product. We have to have like 8 seasons running concurrently of different shows coming out on like a weekly basis for it to really become like a media brand, right? And then I figured if he's already doing everything himself, I might as well just partner with this guy. And then I reached out to him, and then he said, no, I must speak to the videographer, which was very weird for me in the beginning. So I spoke to the videographer, and that became a very long recte process of everything. And then I could finally meet with Nick himself. And I was like, look here, I can't make you any promises today, but I promise you over a long period of time, we're going to build a successful business out of what we're trying to do here. Like you're not gonna have to pay for anything, and I want to go into a partnership, and I want to turn your business into an actual business, not just like you having fun with a camera and
And a
filming.
chicken wing.
And a chicken wing.
But I can eat.
Yeah.
But it sells it. It sells
I mean, he makes me angry every time.
Oh, my God.
So
They send it in the dinges in the family
Groups.
WhatsApp groups.
yes.
Come on, honger.
Yeah, exactly.
I bet you can call it.
Exactly. And look, I work with him like a lot, so even in our normal operation daily, I'm with him. And it's terrible to say this. He's probably gonna hate me for saying this, but when I speak to him, but then I can't help to think about like a Gatsby or something like that.
Or you'll be like, it's like, what do you guys have for breakfast?
He will
What
ask
do you guys have for
everything.
supper?
He's like, and what's for supper? So, Steak Bake as a brand, then we brought on, and we first thing we did was to trademark after coming to an agreement with Nick about how the partnership would look. We trademarked the brand. We created brand new logos for it. We started the creation of a series of how we're going to actually produce the content. And then I think by season 4 or so, I applied to NAVF, to the National Film and Video Fund. We applied, so you know that they fund local films, obviously, right? Even stuff like what you guys are doing. I think you guys...
Somebody mentioned it, and it's one of those things that I need to remember this, I need to remember this.
Just do it.
Please just WhatsApp me or whatever if you want to know how that process works. So we got funding for a new TV show called Grilled, which is a concept that we developed. And Grilled was, or it is, a national tour for Nick to go to different food spots.
Wow.
Across the country.
So you'll see a couple of episodes on our YouTube page. So we went to Cape Town, Durban, Joburg. Yeah.
Yes.
So I didn't go with. They went without me.
It was like a boys'
they were living their best lives.
Such beautiful content.
But the content that came out was so amazing. But what we did was, so when you apply for and I'm giving everyone a trade secret here now, because we live in the digital era, to create content is way more cost effective as what it was in like in the 1990s, right? But when you're creating your budgets for these shows, it's still created like you have 100 people on set and all of that, you know. We know we can run and gun and film something that looks better than like 50 guys on set, because usually that 50 guys actually just gets in the way of certain elements. Very different if you're filming like scripted, but for what we do, like lifestyle type of content, what's it called, magazine style content, very different situation. So we applied for it, we got very good funding for it, and we were only supposed to make a pilot episode. And then I invested further into the show on top of what they've invested, and we could create a whole season out of it. And yeah, I think that is probably the best looking content that the Cobinch has ever created. And it's sad that we haven't pushed it so hard yet, but I think we're going to look at the next season for it. But the goal now is that because the show Steakback actually went to TV, ik praat nou in circles hier. But
That's not.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I like that he brings to a lot of Afrikaans as well.
No, it's mother tongue of Afrikaans, literally. Like
so
mother's tongue.
the long story is that the promise I made to Nico on the day that we're gonna create a business out of your business was like executed. So we created more seasons of Steakback for online. We were able to get Steakback commissioned by VIA as a TV channel. And
I saw that yesterday.
We had Nick in Feigen in school together or something like that. But I think we must actually bring him back to
yeah, no, he's famous now. So
check here. So just to prove that I followed your MVP there was one teaser that came out.
Oh, that's
you interviewed Kaklego's
oh Lord.
And then please tell me the backstory because I was like, wow, Tika is really going controversial. I didn't expect this because obviously with brands and stuff.
Yeah.
So your brand affiliation.
Yeah.
So what happened? Why didn't we see the episode?
I'll answer
You
it.
can answer that.
So you know what was important as a journalist for me, I can say this proudly, is that the very important thing about media, and we know this in our own country, is that media is controlled by those who own it.
Yes.
You know? So those that are in power have lots of power over narrative. Now, I'm not saying that we supported the baby mama, if I could put it that way, because I don't mention it. It's not about that.
Yes.
It was about everyone having a fair platform to tell their story. Because at the time, you had Huisgenoot and you and, all these platforms that was just this very pushed down poor man that is just being bashed and, he's such a good person and I'm sure he is. But nobody gave her the courtesy to just tell her side of the story.
Exactly.
It was it's about basic human rights for me. It was about just, let's have an open fair ground and then we make our decisions. But we can't push a narrative. It's cruel. It's absolutely cruel, and it is, and then above and beyond that as well. She's a mother. Like our kids are literally 2-3 days apart in terms of age. So for me, my mind was just like, can we just have fairness?
Yeah.
And then once we and you might listen to it and then afterwards go, still agree with him. Or, I see her
but
side.
at least
But someone gave. Unfortunately, because of the messiness of the legal proceedings, there was a gag order that was put out. So when she came out to us to have the conversation,
Look, there was no gag order against us.
Yeah, we could have done.
And it was it's the most successful video we've ever put out.
It was
in a space of a day, we had 250,000 views on it.
I think it hit 500,000 within a week. So I think the bigger situation here is that we had to make a conscious decision whether we want to get entangled in something that was extremely messy.
Look, if they didn't have a kid, I would have put it out.
Yeah,
it's very
but
rarely
because the kid was our kid's age, I was like, nah, I can't do that to the parents.
It's very rarely that people in media have a conscience, really.
Yes.
And okay, our name is Cape Conscious Media, but it's glad to see that you guys actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was. Look, there was
we
now
could have hopped on it, because I also sat down with Conita after, Conita, that's boyfriend had the lion cub and she lost all her deals. And we also had a very deep, intimate conversation about her journey and her process. So it was the same type of feel. Look, like I think for people that are followers and big fans of that space, that was very good content for them. It wasn't about controversy and being like disowned and it must be messy and stuff like that. It wasn't that. It was just honest, sincere transparency. That's all. No one's out here to slander people.
Like if I must package it, it's basically like having a therapy session where you can actually you're making it available to the audience.
And I can also tell you, I probed. I was like, but why would you stick it out? Or why? It wasn't just a girl say your thing, girl. It wasn't that.
We still have the episode, and I think it was just like we just looked at each other. Now recently, the news popped up again about the dramas, and then I was like, should we put this thing out?
Because it could really damage reputations.
Exactly.
Like the kind of things that was said, and even though it's her truth and she's entitled to that truth, it could really destroy people, and it had ripple effects. So,
Yeah, no.
like, I'm not in the business. I don't want that type of karma. I've
No,
got a
exactly.
child.
Like, I
we've got a
don't-
business. We've got things. So I'm not in the business of
It's not
ruining
a healthy
people's lives.
situation. If
Yeah.
if we were like sleuths, like type of journalists doing it, then I would have understood putting it out.
It's
But
messy.
it's not
But
a-
it still exists, you know.
it's
Just joking, I joke.
it's in the cloud somewhere.
It's in the cloud. No, but as I say, genuinely, if we wanted to, and it was all about numbers and about.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
actually. I'm
We
not
could
gonna
have
say
done
the
it easy.
publication's name, but someone wanted to pay us a large amount of money,
Purchase that.
couple of 100,000 rand to sell it
Purchase
to
it.
them. Yeah.
Ik zal 100,000 is allemaal lekker skit. Raak in zijn kant. I'm a
so-
sellout.
I think it might have been like actual people's lives would have been affected. by
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So I
And
don't think it's worth the money at the end of the day.
If you say that, you know who he's affiliated with.
Yeah.
It would have rippled out on a very broad scale.
I mean, I respect the fact that he's back in industry and working, because for me it meant obviously now something else is being said, but for me it was important that he works because he has a kid to take care of.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So he's working, but then now she drops these other bombs of saying that he's not paying child support and I don't know.
And that's why it was one of those moments where it was like, thank goodness that we didn't release it,
Attach
because you
yourself
would
to
have
that.
been part of the
Yeah.
constant
Yes.
loop that is happening here. So I don't want to be part of that. You know what I mean? It's we want to give content.
We have way too many other things going on than to
Yeah, getting
face
back to that.
other media questioning you about
Sorry,
it.
I had to just
No,
No,
because,
of course, please,
but
thank
this is it. Just shows how broad and we've expanded in the
Yes.
at our, you know, and in our mission. But at the end of the day, like, we are a media house. We do have a code of ethics, a code of conduct. We do have a plan of action about where we want to go, and we are evolving. You know, so that's important.
So if you look at Go Binge, right? So if you want to talk about the intrinsic reasoning and stuff behind what we're doing, right? For me, it was very straightforward. It was like, there isn't a colored show or colored platform that is big enough that actually portrays us in the way that we actually live. It's like we must either be a gangster or something on TV, and then you get some TV time
Yep.
or airtime.
Or you like from the platteland, and it's it's what's that Philasicant kind of energy
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Or
Like,
if you speak my home language, then they make you speak like someone who grew up in like the middle of Pretoria type thing, and it's not.
Very
It's not.
yellow like
It's not the case,
You know,
you know
not
what I
all brown
mean?
people speak like
Can
that.
I
Yes.
tell you guys something? There's this dubbed international shows that they
Oh,
dub
yeah,
here?
Yeah.
Even the dubbing is racist.
Exactly.
Because I checked, like,
Yeah.
they would both be white females, no?
Yes.
The madam and the maid.
The maid.
But the maid,
But,
yeah, it's gezien daar.
exactly. Have you seen that?
Even that is racist.
Exactly.
It's wild.
It's bad.
It's wild. But this is the thing.
But those
what
things
he's
sell. Though.
explaining.
Those things sell.
There has never been a uncontrolled brown voice, if I could put it that way. In the on traditional media, above the line media, the brown voice is controlled by how a certain group of people want the brown voice to be portrayed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think what happening was that we just wanted to show, and believe this, people outside of the Western Cape that don't really engage with brown people don't know how diverse brown people are, how diverse colored people
Exactly.
are. They only know pregnant, Rothman, snook,
Yep.
no front teeth. You know, that's like the criteria.
Pink gown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And guns and tattoos and gangs. So for them, I think it was like a shock to actually see other levels of, you know, our
Or even the
personalities and our
The
culture.
term, yeah.
Even the time, did you check out that whole thing with Tyler?
Tyler, yeah.
Tyler, yes.
They
Yes.
can't, and it was a good thing because we had to unpack what is colored. So it was,
So
yeah.
it's again like proof that if you outdeco something and you keep pushing on it, that something will eventually give. So it took 4 or 5 years of producing Steakback as a show, for example, before we got mainstream media to accept it and to allow it to go through, right?
But heaven forbid someone says sterkbek on TV.
But the crazy part is that like all of the work we've done in the past, like creating shows with people that look like us, it is now at a stage where our content and our style of speaking, if you look at TikTok and that, and like our lifestyles and all of that, is probably more famous than anything else locally.
But can I ask you guys? I want to ask you both of you guys. Why is it important for me for mainstream media to almost like accept it? When the minute I quoted Good Up, I was done with mainstream media. So I don't see why we should
Why it's important.
worry about TV, worry about radio, even for musicians. Why would it be important for you to have it on the platform though?
For me, it's important to prove that we can stand next to, let's call it, giants of industry and be part of that infrastructure. Because we don't want to, the last thing we want to do is to just create something small on the side and not be part of what mainstream is doing. So yes, we have to drive our own narrative and stuff on the sideline where we are independent and we're crushing it in that side of it. But if we're not going to make a dent into mainstream, then we're also going to be facing something else. So for me, with Go Binge, the mission there is that we're definitely going into mainstream, but we also a full-blown digital company as well.
Nice
Yeah,
answer. Nice answer.
and it gives a lot of gravitas and credibility being able to be strong on both sides. Today, you see a lot of companies that say you are mainstream, but you have no digital presence. You know what I mean? And where does the dialogue happen after you've watched the show? It happens online. That's where the human beings are having the forums and the talks, because now the show is done. But adding to what Faf is saying, I too was in the same space as you, where you almost had this, like, you were angry when you left that, but it was your passion and your love for what you were doing there, and it shouldn't ever affect your creativity and your zest for what you do.
Were you in the room when who was our station manager? He passed away, unfortunately.
Brandon, yeah.
Brandon was in the room and he said, guys, everybody in this room now, I want to tell you now, you are legends. You are legends. Look at the history of SABC. It's either you're a legend, you become a legend there, or you leave and become a legend.
Yeah.
And he says, I have no doubt that all of you guys have already proven, he was also in the room, proven yourself or going to prove yourself. And I have to say that you have actually proven yourself, not just there, but and you're married to another legend, really, man.
Yeah.
It's really a flippin'. I didn't expect this conversation to be this liquor for me.
Oh wow! But you see, what's so important is to have this conversation, because we must stop gatekeeping information and stop gatekeeping. Access to things, because anyone can do dope things.
Yes.
If you've got the internet, there is no excuse. When I left as well, there was this weird resentment that I had to work through and heal from mainstream media, it served me completely no purpose. It was a good driving force for Go Binge, because then I was like, I'm going to show you. That was definitely one of the big motivations. But as Faf said, it's so important that it must coexist and live together. But because we are busy with productions at the moment, and when I can see how the traditional media goes like this. But
remember,
it's so powerful though.
If we're thinking about growing actual wealth within industry for what we're trying to achieve, you have to go there. We have to be part of that, because if we only gonna be dependent on brands sponsoring us or making the odd YouTube the YouTube income from your ads on YouTube and that, we're never gonna be part of the Showmax conversation, of the Netflix conversation, of that. So, and the reality is that there's so few of us who actually plays in the space. So if I must take a long route to get to the Netflixes, then we're gonna take that route. So if we started online on our own platform, we're not even stopping what we're doing there.
But the mainstream is watching us, eh?
No, because that's what I'm saying.
We had with Ibrahim Rasool. The week after that, he was on Cape Talk, and then there was another one in Cape Talk.
So they're just piggybacking off all your.
But we did the same with Smile.
Because the pulse is on social media.
Exactly.
It's immediate, it's fast. What is that? The beat is what's happening digitally.
And
then afterwards you get the mainstream that drops onto it.
Do you know what's so crazy for me, right? And they still haven't got it right. But I actually freely gave, what was the station manager at Good Hope?
Brendan, yeah.
I went to his office one day and I was like, look here, for free, I don't want anything. But this is what you should be doing with content at Good Hope of him. You should be filming these interviews, cutting it down into smaller bites, making video content out of this, and then you get your brand partners to partner on all the content that you're distributing. And I don't think...
This was in 2018.
I think it just went right over.
2018, 2017, yeah. But I think one of the biggest things...
Same, but with other mainstream people, I'm not going to say the name there, but it was a big magazine group that used to exist in Cape Town. So they had all the top lady magazines and all that stuff. And I went to them to show them what they could be doing with their content.
And to digitize it.
Because print, like obviously print is like not
Dead.
getting the same, it's not dead, but it's not creating the same amount of income that it used to in the past. And I wanted to show them, how do you migrate all of your same content pillars, your same pillars that you currently have, you migrate that into into lower cost video content, but you can still get your brand partners to come on board and you can actually generate millions from this. And I think it just went over their heads as well. And and in COVID, they closed down.
And very weirdly enough, I personally feel that digital is dead. I found it was dead like in 2015. Print is dead. But strangely enough, when you land a cover, mentally you still
feel like vibes.
My freaking gosh. Yeah. Because we somehow conditioned, but you're actually so much more greater. But also what I wanted to say to you, and this is from my personal experience, going into offices like, say, for Good Hope and for these things, and we're not bashing them. I would have conversations, and drop the most insane concept, and it's the inability. They don't have the capacity to understand. Yeah. They just don't have the capacity. And it's not insulting. It's just we come from different generations. We come from different spaces in terms of, where we see things. And I think that is the problem, the gap that we are probably trying to bridge.
They're trying, the reason why I'm saying that is News 24 tried to buy a big Facebook page.
Yes.
But I don't think he wants to sell. I think they made an offer or something like that, or they wanted to do an ad first on it and see how the ad is doing. And by that, they will measure what price it is,
the value.
The value of it, what I'm saying. So they are making moves, but you can, unfortunately, once you have a page, you put your heart and soul into that.
It. No, it's your passion.
Exactly. That is your brand. That is your platform. It's your space.
You can't have the same mentality you have it there and try it here.
You're going to lose those people because they're not going to be in love with that space.
You're going to lose your audience because you're not speaking to your audience anymore. Because now it becomes this monetized advertising vehicle.
Yeah.
And it's like
But this is the thing that I think what we are trying to, maybe without us realizing it, trying to bridge that gap, because we come from different disciplines, yet we come from the same discipline. Because I come from radio, I did television. Francois has his experience in television, but we're also digital cats. We are absolutely, like Faf doesn't say it out loud, but we are full on Gen Z. Like we speak to them, they're the future consumers, they are aggressive, they're edgy.
What is Gen Z again?
Gen Z is from 1996 onwards, 1996 to 2012, that gap.
I try to listen to my son. Sometimes he says stuff and I'm like, just dumb.
What?
But they are the cats that are going to be the future consumers.
So this is something simple, man. Just why didn't you just screenshot it and rip the audio?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Why didn't I think that? Now just say something. I was busy with something else.
Yeah.
I would have gotten there.
You never want to seem dumb in front of them, but they're fast. They are so fast, and they're on it. And people need to put respect on their names. Truly, because they're the future leaders, and they're the future consumers, and they're the ones that are going to be setting the trend of how we consume the future.
Yeah, true. That's probably a good segue into topic itself.
Yes, thank you.
Because that's where we.
Sorry, man, I had to take an hour.
But honestly, guys, we need another show if you guys don't mind coming back again at some point.
No, of course.
But it's very informative, and there's a lot more that we can touch on.
Yeah, no, there's still a lot of stuff we haven't even mentioned that we do.
I know. And we're already an hour and 20 minutes in, but topic
for real, the hour and 20 minutes already.
Time flies in this room.
No, we need to address topic. So
okay, yes, so topic
especially for somebody like me.
Yes.
I'm the type that would be struggling with grade 4 maths.
Yes.
And then you have the topic platform. So last night I had my 12-year-old. She signed up and all of us. I had her go through the platform.
She's a bit young, but
no, she's quite fine.
She figured it out. Okay, great.
Yeah, no, that's a smart one.
Yeah,
that's a smart one. And she went through all of it. I like the fact that it's not long clips. Like you're not going to get distracted or zone out or whatever. It's relevant as well. So you've got a lot of other videos on the platform that is relevant. So you'll have the Springboks on there. There was a video on where I again got distracted from geography, and it's like you had the selfie tips on how to take good selfies.
Exactly.
Things like that. So that was awesome. But for me personally, it would be creating awareness to the parents out there that is not fully capable. Like
Yes.
it's easier for the younger generation, they know everything and tech savvy and all of that, they know that. But the parent out there, it needs to be where that awareness is for somebody like me to know that I need to get my child data or Wi-Fi in order to access all of this, to know that I cannot help my child.
Yes.
But that app that platform
100%.
can and allows it. I think there is where, especially to a market out there, especially the more poorer areas.
100% the rural areas,
Yes.
even nationally. So,
Yes.
just a bit of background on Topic, right? So, before Topic as a brand came out, for the past 4 years, we've been developing online learning platforms for your top learners in the country, right? Under different brands in partnership with bigger universities.
Okay.
And that. But these are the kids who get like 70% plus for maths and science. And they're all part of like funded programs. So like a donor would fund for these learners to be on these platforms, and they get in access to a tablet and data and all of that. But for me, while we were creating it and running those programs, and we still do and still running, and they obviously differentiated in the fact that there's live lessons and all sorts of other content on those platforms. But for me, I was like, we just created probably one of the biggest databases of educational material in the country. So in a space of 4 years, we made over 1,000 of those videos, right? So what it means is that it's 1,000 animations. So we can imagine now how many people's heads it had to go through. So we would hire in a teacher who's a subject specialist of that subject. We would then tell them, take the annual teaching plan, which is like the annual teaching plan for DBE, and take it by a specific subject, and then they would condense that entire annual teaching plan. So every week, and the name Topic is because every week there's a certain topic per subject that you need to understand before you can actually move on to the next topic. And if you take it in a real world classroom environment, those lessons would be about 3 to 4 periods in the school week that you would have a 45-minute lesson on that. And then you take all the distraction of me being naughty in class in the back and teacher saying, play hostel achter. That you're actually getting about 30 minutes of learning in the classroom environment. But for us, it was, how do we condense that even further? Like just get straight to the point of what it is that learner needs to know. And we condensed it to plus minus 15 minute to 20 minute try. We try at max, like videos of that specific topic that you need to know. So our goal was initially to run it with the annual teaching plan. And in the first year, we did a similar project. We used to release the content weekly as the annual teaching plan goes. But then, like sometimes you do something and you think you're being smart while doing it, but then the other option was easier and actually like way smarter to do. So we experienced that. We were just make all the content available ahead of time, because that would mean the learner can go through that content before they even learn it in the classroom environment. So we, with Topic itself, 2 months ago, on the 11th of August, we launched Topic. So 2 months ago, and a month prior to that, I think I was just like in this frustrated state of like, we've built this thing and it cost us millions to build it. And why is it only that kids that are unfunded programs can get access to what we've created? And the only way I think I could justify it to myself was just make this thing free, give it to everybody. What are we gatekeeping here? What is the content just going to lay in cloud and no one gets to use it? Like, make it available to every learner in the country. And then like I usually get, so I just became like super passionate about it. So it was just going to be like a platform with the content on. And then I became like really passionate about it. And then I started putting a lot of energy into it. So now that's why there's content. Like we shot a show with Airbay, with EB the Kid, that's on there, which is like a general knowledge show for kids. We create like daily content around like just better lifestyle choices and like how to study, tips on like you said, the coding stuff and how to take a selfie and how to open a bank account, how to get your driver's license or how to get your learners and all those type of things. Like just stuff that they don't teach you in school.
Yes.
That is so crucial to what learners need to know. But over and above that topic, we wanted to create a big change in how learners experience learning, right? So if you look at the platform, you'll see it looks very much like a social media platform.
Yes.
So initially, under all the funded programs that we work with, they obviously have a major issue with having learners communicate with each other and like all those things. So they're always very nervous about it. Where for us, I'm not nervous about that. They can speak to each other on WhatsApp. Yeah. If they were gonna send like some nudes, like say a random nude pic or something bad to each other or swear words, whatever the case is, there's a million other platforms that they can go do that on. So I try and justify it mentally, like why would they come to a learning? That's like me going on to LinkedIn and like
Yes.
posting me drinking a coffee, you know what I mean? I would do that on Instagram because just psychologically you in a different
Yes.
online space. So slowly but surely it's not a full social media platform yet, but we actually changed the name. It's now Topic is a social learning network. So it's not just an online learning platform.
Okay.
We want to be able to have kids do lessons together. So me and you can co-pilot basically a lesson, and we can watch a lesson together, and we can do the quiz together,
Yeah.
and we can tell each other live while we're sitting. Like, I don't know if you guys know Discord at all. Like a platform like Discord where
Yeah.
you can do live chats and all those things with actual audio coming through the platform and all those things. So in the second phase of what Topic's going to be, I think Topic right now, obviously just to give those who don't know it, it's a FET, phase learning management system, which allows learners access to 11 different subjects, obviously for learners in grade 10 to grade 12. And they get, it's totally free. They get access to every single lesson of the annual teaching plan. And what that lesson, it's a video lesson, it's a presentation of the lesson, it's a short quiz on the lesson, it's a worksheet and a memo. So in terms of the school material and curriculum, it is a total platform. We've even gone as far as to get a full online school license. So our business is actually practically a licensed online school provider. So we could give learners we could give high school, like full high school online if we want to. But for me, just like the same thing, like for example with the video that we didn't put out, I don't want to take that responsibility as yet of taking a learner all the way through high school, because it is a major responsibility that you take on. For us, we are supplemented to what you're learning in the classroom environment. And I think we're doing a good job in the short term, because if I must take our learner growth and what you said earlier about the parents having to know, we took a different route there. We were like, the learner needs to want to use this thing.
Yeah.
Because everything else that we've always built in the past was always with the parent and the teacher in mind. But this time we were like, no, we must think of the actual user. Like, what does the learner want to see on a platform like this? And what do they want to do on there? And we've grown literally in a space of, 9 weeks? We have over 30,000 registered learners across the country. On a platform, but the majority actually coming from Gauteng, Western Cape second, and then it's split up between the other provinces. So our goal is to close the year with about 50,000 learners registered on platform before the final exams had finished now. So I think we're well on our way to kind of reach those targets. Then
Did you see what Natasha said?
Oh, sorry.
She was supposed to be here as well. Hey, Natasha.
Hi, Natasha.
Such an amazing concept, getting it out for the kids for free. Commend you on that.
Thank you so much, Natasha. Yeah, so I think it's for the first time in my life where I didn't put a business decision before, like what the benefit of it could be for people out there. But like what I've also realized that Facebook started as free, Instagram is free, WhatsApp is free. How do they? And then I started going down this whole journey, so I go down this rabbit holes basically of how do these people monetize it, and then obviously advertising becomes like the most prevalent one. Oh, it's like they sell your data to other people. Like we even in our POPI agreements, you can read there, we will never do that. But the way that we realized we can do it is to create a marketplace on our platform rather. So in January next year, Topic is going to go through a major transition of what it is today. So from next year onwards, what we're actually allowing on platform is similar to like a Patreon, where say you are a tutor or you are a teacher, you have created a ton of content already while during COVID and creating content for school and that. You can now bring your content to our platform, upload it on there, create your own profile as a tutor. We will go through an assessment process with you, which is very quick and easy. And then you can sell your content to any learner. And you can sell your time to any learner as a tutor on our platform. And you can then, so you're building your own business on our platform, and we will just take a transaction fee of everyone. But doing that, we automatically open it globally immediately. So you could be a tutor in Argentina giving class to learners in Argentina. And I think a big reason for that was just because of the insane cost that goes with creating content. So we spent, when I say millions, I'm talking about millions and millions to make all of those 1,000 videos and those lessons and all of that. We don't want to do that again, because the product is free right now.
Yeah.
And I think there's so many content creators as teachers that have created such good content, right? So if we can create a space where all of this can live, and they can sell their time and actually monetize all the work that they've been doing, I think we will be set up for something special.
It's awesome. I like also the fact that the page, it's monitored. So my child can't jipper me. I can see, but she's done, or she's had this amount of time on the platform and has done this amount of quizzes and stuff.
And all that. No, exactly.
Yes.
So even that part is going to be way more intense going forward, where it's going to be drilled down to like a report card, right? And if you're going to buy something on platform as a parent, so you say you're buying a slot with TK as a tutor for your child, the lesson that they had as a video call with each other is in our cloud system, so you as a parent can always go watch it. We have tools in there that tracks if there's any sexual words being used, or if a swear word is being used in the lesson, and we will get an alert that happened. And the whole lesson is transcribed in text. And there's other tools in the live video sessions, because we built the software from scratch. So we're implementing tools where there's quizzes in there. The assessments that you do within the live lesson, all of those marks goes to your own personal profile. So you as the parent, you have full transparency of what is happening with your child in the platform. Because I think that is obviously the major red flag that everyone would ask is, can anyone just become a tutor on here? Yeah. What if they gonna do funny stuff? The transparency is the learner can't register without putting their parents' details in.
Yes.
So I don't know if you saw that part.
Yes.
Obviously, there will be a rotten apple here and there that will just put any random details in there. I mean, but as far as Poppy goes, we try and protect the learner as much as possible.
I checked for that as well, because I'm putting in the information. I wanted to see with others, can I see that information? But it's not.
Yeah. But also we're dealing with children.
Yes.
So there's just an extra sense of security and safety that's needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So we work with AWS or Amazon, who's our cloud service provider. So even just to work with them as part of the Head Start program. So our company is part of the Head Start program, where they actually fund us in for cloud storage and space, and they assist us with some of our development things and all of that. The second you work with someone like that, there is no way around your Poppy stuff and your security and your privacy and all that. So we have like global level privacy on our platform, which I think is crucially important, especially for where we want to take it. So next year is the year we want to take this thing on a global scale. I think we're doing incredibly well for zero marketing really being put out. I think the only marketing we're doing is me for the first time in my life speaking to the media, and the thing has grown like tremendously. I think our team and everyone's really happy about what we've achieved thus far. But I think we all know that the major growth or the major stress or pain of it actually lies for next year, when we're going to be allowing other people to start their businesses on our platform. Because that means that, like, if I must just tell you about my own mental pains that I stress about, is that if this guy in Argentina sets up an account, then he needs to have a wallet that his money goes into. That transaction has to and if it's a kid from Brazil buying it from the guy in Argentina, that means that the currency needs to change from their currency to that to that currency, and the tax that the kid is paying versus the tax that is paid out on that side is different. So that is the stresses that I deal with on a daily basis when it comes to developing these platforms. But I obviously have a big team that helps me build all the stuff out. But that is something that is obviously top of mind for me today.
I'll stick to the grade 4 maths. I just want to note with the 2021 AME Awards, like a lot of those participants, or they'll more so be noted, especially when it's South Africans.
Yes.
They'll be noted for South Africa. But with your marketing and stuff, it is noted for always with under Africa.
Yes.
I think that is really, really amazing. People really don't know as much about you and everything that you are doing.
Everyone knows the products we create, but they don't know us, right? So, like the products we make with one of the Stellenbosch University, everyone knows their products, but no one knows that we actually behind the scenes assisting them in developing those products. When you walk into, like I say, you walk into the Wild Bean Cafe, you don't know that we put those screens in there. Which I think is important for what we do. And even with Go Binge, I was like, there's no way that I will ever be in any of our shows, because where I see a lot of guys go wrong is they start the agency or they start like something in the media space, and then they themselves want to become the talent.
Yeah.
But
Ego is poisonous, man.
Yeah, so,
but ego is
Hence why you never see my face on the podcast.
exactly.
I can't 5 episodes a week. I'm going to say mooi maak.
Look, like in this instance, it's obviously very different. But if you were working in a business where you are, say, you an agent to 20 influencers, and you become one of the faces in there, then the question will always exist like, oh, Nike gave us a deal. I think I'm going to take a deal for myself. Like, you know.
It's like Jay-Z being the head of...
Rock Nation.
Def Jam.
Def Jam,
That
exactly.
was the problem, actually.
Exactly. He was just boosting his own album before everyone else. So
or dirty dancing in the music videos.
exactly. So you can't go that route. It works for some, but I think it's a difficult thing when you start cross-pollinating what you're supposed to be doing.
To his order, because besides the fact that we just happen to be married, I think that is the dope thing and the phenomenal thing about his character is that it's never been about the need for clout and for PR and for, like, if anything, like you know, you look at these Forbes lists and you're like, oh, the top 30, you know, and you look at that and not that one is comparing, but you're just going like, really, you know, in people that made impacts, that has done things, that has really done hardcore, and then you sit back and it's the same like these big artists that don't ever get the Grammy, that don't ever get the American Music Award, or they don't ever get the Oscar. Who are the overseers of who decides who is doing great stuff and who's not doing great stuff? Great stuff is determined by what you do. Like, the numbers don't lie, the actual output don't lie. Yeah. So I think that has always been a thing for franchise, that I don't need to get a star on my forehead for you to tell me that I'm doing cool stuff.
No, but it's insane to think that, because there's like 30, 40 other people who's helping me create all the stuff, right? Like, it would be embarrassing if I must try and take all of this, like, I made it by myself. It's impossible. Like, you can't. Like, I think my team even knows that you can't speak about I in our team. There is no I in this team, because everyone, like, the smallest or smallest thing is possibly the most important thing in the execution of what we're trying to do. So there is no hierarchy in the sense of like I even struggle, like even the agent who's doing my PR work for me, told him I don't like speaking about myself because it's just so weird for me. Like I don't like it because but at the end of the day, I think it's for the best for my business to be able to go out there in the public and speak about what we are doing, because our team be doing really amazing stuff. And it is actually sad that no one knows about all the great stuff that we are doing.
I like on the website with the SOCO Ed one, each individual member has this little video.
Oh, like a meme about the personality.
I like that. That is awesome.
We so in that business, in SOCO Ed as a company, right, which obviously owns Topic, beyond us just doing this high school platform, we actually do, like, for one of the number one brand in South Africa. They won like the most loved brand. So FNB as a bank, we create the internal HR training processes for them. So we work with the HR teams and we create the video material and the lessons and all that stuff.
Was there anything that you don't do? Are you maybe the president of South Africa? And this is the front of it. No, don't do it, man.
I've sometimes question myself, like, because focus in business is so important, but then I can like comfort myself knowing that I only do two things: I create content and I create software. It's only whether it is the implementation of it is different in different spheres. But if you look at Go Binge, what do we do there? We create content. If you look at Just Brands Africa, I create content and software. If you look at SOCO Ed, it's content and software.
Compartmentalize it.
Yeah. So and the same teams work across the different businesses and
there's literally no hierarchy, because the minute you do that, you're disrupting productivity. And from my experience in working in corporate and working in your traditional media, and it's the very thing of hierarchy that destroys creativity and blossoming and seeing like these young people that are so smart and so innovative come up with more smart, innovative things. Why would you want to dim that? You need that. You want that. So that I think that is this level of humility and humbleness and modesty is not something that is a show. It is literally one of the backbones of his business. If he doesn't have that, it's going to mess with his money. You know.
So there's obviously processes in place for execution of every single project that we work with, right? But I think from a human perspective, no one has to fear asking anyone anything. Like in corporate, you will find that, oh no, my boss said this. If anyone calls me their boss, I just go like red in my face. So
one day I was telling a friend of mine, we were having dinner, and I just said like, this guy that works for Fafa, and he's like, are you mad? Like, I was like, oh my God. Like, and he was like, it's my colleague. Like, you know, it's because there's so much power. There's so much power in language and you know, how we execute things.
But because what we do is, everything we do is brand new stuff, right? So I think it might be very different if we were in like a milling machine, like say like an accounting firm, or we in a bank where those processes are driven like that. So then you need that hierarchical structure like that. But I think because every time we create something, it's something that doesn't exist. We depend on every single one to be all hands on deck in what we're creating. And everyone plays to their strength. So no one in the business has the same talent as the other person. So everyone has a specific strength, and then we depend on you, and they depend on me, and everyone depends on each other to make it happen.
Jonathan Mart is saying the man who does more than he is paid for will soon be paid for more than he does.
Jonathan Mott, from your lips to God's ears.
To my bank account.
From your thumbs to God's ears. Yeah, no, but yeah, Soko Ed as a business is an education-focused business. And I think where we're really starting to cover a real good niche out is in how we create educational content. I think educational content has been stale for a long time. So we're taking our entertainment background and bringing that to education so that people can stay more engaged with the learning material. And I think that is why the bank loves what we are doing for them, is that those lessons that would have been like a 2-hour Zoom session on how to have a courageous conversation with your manager, we've now turned those into like 5 minutes a day content that you can just go through, and then you can complete your course at the end of the week. So you watch like 5 minutes. It's called micro learning. Yeah. So we changed all of those sessions into micro learning. So the business saves money because they're not losing so much time with their staff. Everyone, the staff are more enjoying the content a lot more. So it's just a different approach of how to do it. And then we obviously make it look amazing. So instead of just like a guy on Zoom speaking to you, which is like your attention.
AI voice or something.
AI voice or something. So we bring like actual actors and stuff in, and we create like really cool stuff.
Yeah, content is king, eh?
True.
We had to end long ago.
No, but
there's so much more than we can. There's really so much more.
I got involved.
No, but it's
but I'm fascinated by not just the story, but what you're doing now, man.
Yes.
I'm really, it's really, we spoke in the group, and it's really a feather in our cap. Was it my young chokkies?
Yes.
Young chokkies in the field. But for you to reach out and be willing to come on our platform.
Of course, man. Of course,
It's just tells us we're doing something right. You know
Absolutely. Like, iron sharpens iron at the end of the day. You know, we're all missioning. We're all on a mission. Yeah.
So now, thanks for both of you for coming out.
Of course,
I really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I think that is you thanking me for being here. I should thank you for having us here.
You could have had like any person on this platform.
What I love about the podcast for me, it's like every time we have in people, it's like people that we can learn from, that we can grow from. And that's like the biggest thing. Like, if you compare me 10 years ago to me now and sitting down with people of such caliber, it's huge for me as well. So thank you for that. Ending off, I have just each one individually a message out there to the people.
You go first.
I think I'll use the same one I've used many, many years back, because it still remains true today for me, is that if you have any idea, and you think you have this cool concept or this idea that you have, write it down on a piece of paper, digest it yourself, and go look at it tomorrow. Because the second that you've written it down on paper, your idea it's becoming real. Right? So it's like every time you write the idea down, it becomes real. And then you build out the flesh and the blood of that thing. So the more you actually put it out on a piece of paper, whether it's on a PC or wherever you do it, make your idea real. Like, don't keep the idea in your head. And that will be my message to the people out there?
Gosh, now I have to do something profound also.
Stay cool. Stay polite.
Gang. I think that wild fuff, and this is why we're such a good combination, is that wild fuff is so much more technical, so much more like mechanical, and I'm the more emotional and more personality driven. And so I think that, from my world and my background, I would say that, firstly, age is not a thing. Your background is not a thing. Your level of education is not a thing. There's literally no excuse to do really cool things nowadays. And that if you're serious about something and if you're passionate about something, then always strive to be your most authentic self and just do it. Just do it. It's not going to happen, and nothing will haunt you like the things that you didn't do. So just do it.
It's really amazing. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the insight, the wisdom, and the knowledge that you guys are imparting. Guys, catch us again next week. We won't run as late. That's a live podcast, not the same time. We'll let you guys know, but keep liking, sharing, following. Thank you so much.